Thank the gentleman. I'm going to yield 5 minutes to myself, and this is to Mr. Spear. How does weakened enforcement of federal CDL and English proficiency requirements undermine safety on American roads? And tell me if you agree this should be viewed as a national security and rule of law issue rather than just a regulatory problem.
Well, I think the criteria, the standards that you're speaking to come from the United States Department of Transportation, handed down to the states. The states administer the tests. Some states do it very well, and there's a handful that aren't. And we've seen over the last few years a whole host of CDLs get issued to people that shouldn't have them, candidly. First, they may not be here legally. They may not be able to speak or understand English. They shouldn't be operating an 80,000-pound heavy-duty truck, moving freight across the country. So those standards and the relationship between the federal and state government is absolutely essential to make sure that all states are doing the same thing on those fundamentals.
If I was to ask you if federal CDL and English proficiency standards have been consistently enforced, am I being fair when I say that some of the fatal crashes we discussed today probably could have been prevented?
There's absolutely no question. Your opening statement covered several crashes that we've also watched very closely. A lot of the folks that you cited in those accidents, those drivers were not able to speak English, understand English, probably should never have been driving in the first place. They were issued CDLs when they shouldn't have had them. You don't want people like that behind the wheel of a 40-ton U.S. truck.
I would think. Thank you. I'm going to ask you a rapid-fire question here, and if you agree we do need to do more, if you could catch up with us and get information to me. What I'm going to ask is, do you believe in the United States of America we need to do anything legislatively? Does Congress need to do something to make us more safe and more secure? Very briefly, I'm going to ask all of you, so we got to go quickly, but Ms. Della Bruyere.
Yes, absolutely. And number one low-hanging fruit stopping an unforced error is with any federal incentives or procurement, having actually enforced stringent restrictions on the ability of Chinese or Chinese-influenced entities with clear rules of what those are to receive them.
So I know you don't write bills, but if you could get us that information, get it to my office and also to the committee of what you saw, this bill, kind of give us your priorities on that. Mr. Cole.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do believe Congress needs to act in a few ways. First, I believe United States Cyber Command needs additional authorities in order to be able to operate at the speed with which our adversaries are. I believe Congress must do more legislatively to increase our resiliency against cyber attacks. To some degree, we have to assume that nation-state adversaries have already compromised our infrastructure, and that means giving states the ability to more quickly respond to threats as they emerge. That could mean additional funding or clearer frameworks. And finally, as I agree with Mrs. De La Bruyere that we should take a legislative approach to data sovereignty as well.
Please get that to my office, both of you, as quickly as you could. Thank you. Mr. Spear.
I think on the English language proficiency, we would advocate for the American Trucking Associations that Congress fully codify English language proficiency for all drivers, that all states should test for this consistently across the board. And this is a safety issue. If you're operating a vehicle, you shouldn't be pulling a U-turn on the Florida Turnpike. You should be able to understand weather signs and say Wyoming. You need to understand English. You need to be able to operate that equipment safely around the motoring public. Congress needs to codify this to ensure that all 50 states abide by this and aren't just handing CDLs out carelessly to people that shouldn't be driving a 40-ton truck.
Thank you. Please get that to my office as well. Mr. Kanaki.
I would say the most important thing from my perspective is to fill gaps in regulatory frameworks so that we have comprehensive ability to oversee regulation in this space.
Thank you. I will yield back the rest of my time, and with that, I will yield to the ranking member of this committee, Ms. Jasmine Crockett.